This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News.
Fake IDs are gaining popularity. How the arrest of one man has increased awareness at bars throughout Fargo-Moorhead.
One M-State class is switching gears. See how this program is revving up for the future.
Hear how one MSUM club spent one weekend racing against the clock.
NDSU prospects look to make a splash in front of NFL scouts.
Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Chris Hovden.
And I'm Alex Sapp. The arrest of a Fargo man after selling more than $40,000 worth of fake IDs has spurred conversation over their illegal use.
I met with law enforcement and bar owners to find out how fake IDs are confiscated and just how common it is for college kids to use them. After the February arrest of this man, Blaze Blitz, in connection with a counterfeiting operation that sold over 500 fake IDs to people in the Fargo-Moorhead area, bars are keeping a close watch for fake IDs. The arrest came after bar owners have pleaded for help, one owner even coming to a Fargo Liquor Control Board meeting and dumping out a bag full of fake IDs they've collected.
I just want everybody to see an idea of how many fake IDs or people who use other people's IDs we collect.
These are hundreds of IDs if you put them all together.
There's two types of fake IDs. There's ones that are pretty obvious to tell. They just are missing some of the trademark things that you know are on them, that the guidebooks tell you, those kind of things. But then some of them are really good and they're going to pass the scanners and the different detection devices anyways.
The Turf is a bar right across the street from the NDSU campus, making them a prime location for underage drinking.
Our door security guys basically study the fake ID guidebooks that are provided by a couple of our liquor representatives.
Police say fake IDs are more prevalent now than they have ever been, especially with the growth of the internet. Getting one is simple. All you have to do is Google the words fake ID. In North Dakota, they're as cheap as $100.
Quite often when we see them is when bars turn them in when they've caught someone who has one. They'll oftentimes take the fake ID, send the person on their way. When they get a large collection of these fake IDs, they call us and then we come and pick them up.
To catch fake IDs, many bars are turning to electronic scanners. The issue? They cost roughly $1,500.
Overindulgence, not only by adults but by people who are underage, create all kinds of situations, all kinds of assaults, puts people in all kinds of different dangerous situations.
Owning a fake ID itself isn't illegal, but using one at a bar or other liquor store can result in a Class B misdemeanor in North Dakota and up to a $1,000 fine and 90 days in jail in Minnesota. Chris Hovden, Campus News. According to the Document Security Alliance, 59% of people between the ages of 15 and 20 possessed a fake ID in 2020. Foster students throughout Minnesota are celebrating a victory in higher education. Lawmakers found an extra $5 million to fund a program that pays for foster kids' tuition and other college fees. The first year it paid for nearly 500 students, but next year, up to 900 students are expected to use the program. Because of this, there are worries that lawmakers could not fit the program in the budget. But after testimonies from students who use the program, budget money was taken from the North Star Promise to fund it for another year.
It's not just a education issue. It's a homeless issue. It's a judicial issue. A lot of fosters who don't end up going to secondary school and they end up homeless or they end up in jail.
Legislature for this budget change is expected to be passed soon, but they'll have to revisit the plan to pay for the 2025-26 school year.
Social media app TikTok dominates the online world for many college students. However, a bill is currently working its way through Congress that could see the app essentially banned across the country. Reporter Caitlin Haugrud takes a closer look at the argument over the potential ban.
The biggest reason behind a TikTok ban is security concerns. The bill aims to protect user security after worries that the app could be leaking sensitive data to the Chinese government. Despite this, for many TikTok users, the app isn't a threat, but a way to connect and communicate.
Like, there's so many different paths you can go with content creation. There are people doing honest work on that app. They want to share a good message to good people, and that's been the most accessible way to do that.
Like most social media, almost anyone can create a TikTok about almost anything, which leaves room for many different opinions to be expressed on the app.
I think it more so boils down to like a political issue of, I think there's a lot of political freedom through TikTok.
Professor Denise Gorsline is teaching a class on TikTok's influence next semester. She believes the consequences of a potential ban stretch beyond politics.
I think there's much more serious security risk than TikTok, but it's a great subject to blame.
To Professor Gorsline, part of the appeal of TikTok is the variety of content and opinions.
Oh, and I think that's important. It means we see some things we don't like. To me, that's okay. Part of what we should all learn is how to evaluate those.
The bill went through the House of Representatives with 352 votes in favor, but it still has to go through the Senate, leaving the app's future in the U.S. uncertain. With photographers Alex Sapp and Isabella Ternez, Caitlin Haugrud, Campus News.
If the bill is passed by the U.S. Senate, ByteDance, the Chinese company that owns TikTok, would have 6 months to sell the app before seeing it banned in the United States. The widow of a Wall Street investor and former professor is making history with a $1 billion donation. 93-year-old Ruth Gottesman made the remarkable donation to Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York City. The donation will be used to give free tuition for students for years to come. Tuition is normally around $60,000 per year, meaning students will be saving over $200,000 for a 4-year degree. And that's not the only school receiving a record-breaking donation. NDSU's engineering program is about to follow a new blueprint.
Caitlin Haugrud tells us about the recent $25 million donation that's paving the way for renovations.
In the center of NDSU's engineering complex stands the unique-looking administration building known as the Oreo. It will be demolished this summer as part of a department remodel. Pre-existing plans were sped up after a surprise $25 million donation by NDSU alum Richard Offerdahl.
It was amazing. I was speechless, honestly, when I heard the news that an alumni would give back, to in such a meaningful, such an impactful way.
The new construction will connect existing buildings and house a collaborative design center for engineering students to design, build, and test projects.
We put a lot of emphasis on that hands-on type of education. So this collaborative design studio is going to allow students to have the space to be able to do that.
NDSU students and faculty have been involved every step of the way.
There's been a lot of student input going into this building. They've been doing surveys going back decades really to figure out what exactly it is that NDSU students want out of their experience.
Current buildings will also be updated, marking the first major transformation of the facilities since the 90s.
This is going to be the most technologically advanced source for engineering and for research that we have within the region.
The impact of this gift will be felt for generations.
With photographer Alex Sapp, Caitlin Haugrud, Campus News.
NDSU anticipates the project to be finished in the fall of 2026. MSUM students have a new option when it comes to saving on college. The university is preparing to offer classes with no textbook or material costs. It's called the Z degree, or zero-cost degree, and can be associate's or bachelor's degree. It's funded by a $100,000 grant from the state. The Z degrees are starting in 2026, but classes could start much sooner. M-State is also preparing to offer Z degrees this fall. South Dakota students are also celebrating college cost cutting. During the 2024 legislative session, lawmakers set aside nearly $6 million to keep a tuition freeze in place. The 6 public universities also set aside funds to keep fees flat. The freeze affects not only residents, but students from all over the country. Data from the South Dakota Board of Regents shows their rates are the lowest in the region. This marks the 3rd year of the official South Dakota tuition freeze.
One MSUM professor is being honored for her work at a national level. Professor Caitlin Johnson was awarded this year's 40 Under 40 Award, recognizing Native American men and women under the age of 40 for their leadership and other outstanding qualities. Johnson received a Dill Fund for Excellence grant in 2023 to help fund a research project for MSUM's Indigenous student community. She said she was shocked that she was recognized as the only education-based career that was nominated.
It was kind of a validation for me where it was like, okay, the work that I'm doing is being noticed.
Caitlin was nominated along with others such as Lily Gladstone, who was nominated for an Oscar in 2024. And an old program has found a new home after being transferred piece by piece.
Reporter Coleman Rader has more on M-State's power sports curriculum now being taught at its Moorhead campus.
The M-State Power Sports program, which deals with small engines on terrain vehicles like snowmobiles, jet skis, and motorcycles, extended to M-State in Moorhead this fall.
Yeah, we could do the string.
Professor Kent Reisenhauer, who graduated from the same program, shares the challenges with the change of scenery.
It's been a good transition, but there's a lot of parts to the transition, such as shop space. You know, we're a big program, we take space, so you know, getting the equipment. We've accumulated a lot of equipment, and so we'll have to. But yeah, it's been good.
Companies like Polaris send machines over to M-State so students can work on them and prepare them for a career in the power sports industry.
Over the summer, I got a job up in DL, working on boats and stuff at McLaughlin's. I liked it, so I was looking for stuff to do, and my mom found this program, so I decided to check it out, and it worked out pretty well. I'm liking it so far.
From doing it all by hand to being shown digital models of an engine, new innovations in technology is revving up production.
I was rebuilding a lot more engines back then. Now they're doing a lot more electronics, so we're plugging in computers to most everything now, whether it's a small engine or whether it's a, you know, big boat.
Students and professors enjoy how interactive power sports can be, whether it's building engines, fixing them, or repairing other parts to the machine.
Clean your mated surfaces here on your case. Probably one of the best things to teach, because you're doing hands-on and you're doing what they're passionate about. So, and they're not falling asleep in the shop working on machines. It's very, I don't know, exciting, and yeah, they're definitely keeping on their feet, moving, doing things they like to do.
They're enjoying it all in a new setting. With photographer Hunter Schwartz, Coleman Rader, Campus News.
In addition to providing vehicles for the school, Polaris also offers student scholarships.
One group of NDSU students put a different spin on traditional art gallery, as interactive exhibits were displayed through the eyes of speculative architecture. Visitors packed the NDSU Art Gallery to observe the hard work of student artists, who put an experimental spin on their work through a variety of mediums. Artists encourage people to interact with their work by touching it and moving it around. Judith Frelich, one of the student artists, aimed to explore architecture through the senses, as her work encouraged visitors to tug on the piece and move the shadows across the floor, mimicking waves of the ocean. Frelich described the biggest challenge as executing the work to live up to her expectations.
I guess the challenge is to really portray what I see in my mind, and so that the piece lives up to the expectations for myself and then also for my professor and my peers.
NDSU's architecture program holds classes in its unique 100-year-old Renaissance Hall in downtown Fargo.
Each spring, students in NDSU's nutrition science program get a unique opportunity to put their knowledge to use in a student-run cafe. Reporter Drew Berg met with the students to talk about the hands-on experience they receive.
Here, in room 310 of NDSU's Family Life Center, is where students in one of the nutrition science and dietetics classes get to show their knowledge off to the world. It's called the 800 Cafe, and this place gives students the chance to run a lunchtime cafe that aims to serve up healthy meals that are under 800 calories each.
I loved learning about how much it takes to go into running a restaurant, running a cafe, and that it takes, and all of the money, because we have to figure out how much each costs too, so that was fun.
Students work in multiple different roles throughout the class, including manager, salads, chef, and dishwasher. The student managers do a lot of prep work, including buying ingredients and choosing the menu, as well as making sure everyone else stays on track.
So we had to find the nutrition information for all of them and each serving too. And then we had to do the cost and ordering. And then we did a week where we practiced the recipes, and then we got to edit them and make them how we wanted them to be too.
NDSU says every meal offered by the cafe focuses on whole foods and making as many recipes as possible from scratch. The class that runs the cafe is required for all members of the Nutrition Science and Dietetics program and students say they have already gained valuable knowledge from the experience.
I've enjoyed just learning how to manage and all the stuff that goes into it, between the ingredients of the meals and the nutrition facts of it and ordering all the food.
For the rest of the semester, students say they want to continue serving up good food and learning about nutrition in a fun way. With photographer Katie Bartnick, Drew Berg, Campus News.
The 800 Cafe also offers special meals. This semester, it featured a ratatouille-themed lunch that included a charcuterie board along with brown rice and Parmesan cheese. A new art piece is now enriching the halls of the University of Minnesota Duluth. The 40 geometric tiles in 8 ceramic sculptures are titled Reliquary of the North Shore and were created by Ann Metcalf, a U of M Twin Cities alum. The 3D puzzle artwork showcases animal and plant species from Minnesota's North Shore region. The goal of the piece is to show Minnesota's North Shore region's biodiversity. Metcalf will be giving a short presentation followed by the ribbon-cutting ceremony on Tuesday at 5 p.m. in A.B. Anderson Hall.
MSUM showcased the first of 2 art exhibits dedicated to seniors graduating with Bachelor's of Fine Arts degrees this spring. The exhibit showed the final projects from 9 students graduating with degrees in graphic and interactive design. Each student was given instructions to find a need in a field that they were passionate about and then create a fictitious brand that would solve that need. The show featured brand identities and a variety of media, including print, visual, and web design elements. Jordan Stanwyck is a student whose work was showcased and said his project helps him feel more prepared for his dream of designing book covers.
Working throughout all of that, like the difference between a hardcover or a softcover book would be almost astronomical, but now I feel confident going into that.
The second half of the BFA exhibit is currently up in MSUM's gallery and features work from a wide range of majors, including photography, ceramics, and painting.
As part of a way for international students to showcase their culture, MSUM held an event for students to experience music from around the world. The World Music Showcase gave both American and international students the chance to share music from their cultures with the students on campus. The event featured several student performances, including an a cappella singing group, a K-pop dance group, and multiple students performing solos. MSUM puts on a handful of international and cultural-related events each semester. Many international students say events like this can take on a special meaning for them.
Being able to share my culture in this community, I would say that it was a great opportunity because it kind of made me feel like I was home.
MSUM's next international event will be the annual Celebration of Nations on April 19th. And now we turn it over to Josh Boyko for a look at this week's sports.
And Josh, I hear the NFL recently made a stop in Fargo.
That's right, Alex. North Dakota State University has built a reputation with the NFL teams that's attracted scouts to their pro day workouts year after year. I went to NDSU to talk with the players, hoping to hear their name called on draft night.
On a snowy winter day in Fargo, NDSU football players showcased their abilities in front of scouts for 18 NFL teams.
For the last 5 years, NFL teams have selected North Dakota State players in the draft. Behind me now, Jalen Sundell highlights the class that looks to make it 6 years in a row.
It's really a dream come true, watching all the guys that were in the front of the room, when I was a freshman, come out here and do it, and then, to finally do it yourself, it was an awesome deal.
The athletes took part in drills like the 40-yard dash, the 3-cone drill, the 20-yard shuttle, and individual position work.
I think anytime you can get in front of assistant O-line coach, an O-line coach, an area scout, whatever it may be, and work out in front of them, I think it's valuable. It's big anytime I can get in front of somebody in the NFL organization and work out, yeah.
To prepare for Pro Day, both Jalen Sundell and Jake Kubas took practice reps with former Bison players Billy Turner and Cordell Volson, who have gone pro.
Cordell was that guy in the front of the room that you look up to, you want to be him. And Billy's been, training with us actually. He's been in the cities with us and gotten to know him a little bit better. So it was awesome to have support.
NDSU offensive linemen drafted in the last decade have prided themselves on positional flexibility, something teams value in mid-round picks.
I think they're all mostly looking at me as a center, but being able to play all five is valuable to every team. And if you're not starting, that's what they expect you to do in the NFL.
With Pro Day in the books and Draft Day looming large, the only thing left to do as a prospect is wait to hear your name. With photographer Alex Sapp, Josh Boyko, Campus News Sports.
The NFL Draft will be in Detroit on April 25th. MSU Moorhead has kicked off the outdoor track and field season by crushing school records. Sophomore Shavante Roberts broke the 100-meter record, clocking in at 11.75 seconds at the South Dakota Early Bird Meet. The previous record of 11.79 seconds stood for 36 years. Senior Ashley Hokinson broke her own record in the pole vault, topping nearly 14 feet for a fourth-place finish. Roberts, Hokinson, and the rest of the Dragons traveled to Jamestown yesterday and are now shifting their focus to the next meet at the U of M. Rugby is growing in popularity around the country, with MSUM offering teams for both men and women. Caitlin Zeiger reports on how one coach is fostering both a winning culture and a welcoming environment.
Here at MSUM, the women's rugby team is growing every semester as new players join. But right now is the best time for new players so they can learn with their teammates and coach.
With this sport, kind of just getting thrown right into it is the best way to learn.
It's hard to just go into a game and learn everything. But this team has a volunteer coach, Athena Aiken, who is teaching these ladies more than just the sport of rugby.
Coach, she does this straight by volunteering. She's not paid to do any of this. She's just here for her love of rugby and her love of us.
She's so knowledgeable about all of rugby. I feel like I could ask her any question about it and she would know the answer, or at least be able to give me, an answer that she thinks is the best.
Coach Aiken has been with Moorhead for over a decade and has just been inducted into the 2024 class of North American Indigenous Athletics Hall of Fame.
It's just cool to be recognized just in general, because it is kind of a thankless job sometimes. It's more for me than anything else.
She's such a determined, strong woman that I just I look up to her so much.
I don't think I would continue rugby without her.
The team has more to learn from Coach Aiken as they gear up for their next upcoming matches and to their team goal of making it to a national championship. With photographer Jalen Wagner, Caitlin Zeiger, Campus News Sports.
The next women's rugby game kicks off this afternoon versus Bemidji State. NDSU will be facing new competition in Summit League soccer. The University of Delaware has announced that its men's team will be joining the conference. The Blue Hens will be the 6th men's soccer program in the league starting in 2025. The remainder of Delaware sports will remain in the Coastal Athletic Conference. They'll be joining other schools like the University of St. Thomas and Oral Roberts. The soccer team has made 5 NCAA appearances, holds 3 CAA conference titles, and has had over 20 All-Americans. The international sport netball was introduced to MSUM this year and has been welcomed by many with open arms. Reporter Jacob Anderson met with the netball club to discuss the sport's journey to Moorhead.
Short pass! Short pass!
At MSUM, a new club sport has been introduced that many Americans are not familiar with. MSUM's netball club president and South African native, Jordan Brett, has been playing the sport since she was young. And when she came to Minnesota, she noticed it had no presence.
And I got here expecting it to still be a big sport, and it just wasn't. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to start it up. I miss it so much, it's going to happen.
Netball may look like basketball but with no backboard, but there is a bit more to the sport than just no backboard.
There's no dribbling and there's no moving with the ball. So it's more of a passing strategic game, and some people have areas that they're restricted to.
The club has welcomed students with no experience prior to joining, which was the case for almost every student that joined.
It's just fun because everybody's starting out at ground zero, but there's so much learning. It's more casual, but also quite enjoyable because everyone's, starting from the same spot.
There's so many rules that you have to learn, but when you learn those rules and go through the routine of actually playing, you're like, wow, this is actually really fun.
Despite its challenges, netball has been beneficial for athletes in the club and for Jordan.
I have absolutely loved netball. It's kind of like a unique sport just because it's not offered anywhere else.
Oh, what? People love it, and they have a lot of fun with it, and that's all I can ask for.
Jordan also says it's been fantastic to bring a sport she grew up with to MSUM and hopes its popularity grows across the region. With photographer Isabella Turnus, Jacob Anderson, Campus News Sports.
Jordan says the MSUM club is the first organized college netball club in the upper Midwest. And guys, I hear another Moorhead club is trying something out new as well.
That's right, Josh. MSUM's animation club spent a weekend putting their skills to the test as a team of just 6 worked furiously to see what they could create in just 2 days.
Reporter Nate Cohen spoke to members of the club to find out what went into the process.
There are many different ways to spend a weekend, but for MSUM's animation club, they're trying something new, spending their days off working as a team to complete a short animation in just 48 hours.
I think one of the most fun parts was just the bonding experience with the team. This is my first time doing a group animation with this team specifically, and for some of our animators on their team, it was the first time that they had ever done a group project before.
6 people took part, each providing their own skill to aid in the project's completion. Some worked on the sounds, others the visuals, and for Ray Vangan, designing the characters.
Because I just wanted to design what I wanted to design, but then I had to stop and think, oh, they have to animate this for every single frame, so I need to make it a lot simpler.
The challenge was not without obstacles, as late nights and 17-hour-long sessions were pivotal to the team's success.
One of the hardest things is keeping it in scope. So doing animation, any type of animation, especially hand-drawn, is a very time-intensive process. So when you're coming up with the idea, you have to be thinking of what you're going to be feeling at hour 36.
The club hopes to continue the challenge in the future, and the longer it's around, the more students they can attract to their organization.
Draw in a larger audience and kind of get people more excited about animation. It doesn't have to be sitting down working on a project by yourself. It can be a really fun, immersive group project that you do over a weekend and then have a big celebration at the end of it.
With photographer Alex Sapp, Nate Cohn, Campus News.
The team celebrated the completion of their short with a screening of the final project. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with more from MSUM's World Music Showcase.
Thanks for watching, and have a great week.
You're in the mirror, face to face with somebody less than perfect. I wouldn't choose me first if I was looking for a champion. In fact, I'd understand if you picked everyone before me. But that's just not my story. True to who you are, you saw my heart. Hey, I'm untouchable.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead, in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.